Okay, for every high-performing founder out there, you know who you are. You're pushing harder than ever, but you feel like you're moving slower and slower. This one is for you. We're going to dive into a really counterintuitive idea, why all that massive effort might not be turning into the momentum you expect. And it has everything to do with the architecture of your internal world.
So let's just pause for a second. Forget the market, forget the competition, the funding climate, all of it. What if the single biggest bottleneck in your entire operation is the conversation happening between your own ears? It's a serious strategic question.
This brings us to something we call the high performers paradox. It's that incredibly frustrating feeling when you're redlining your efforts, working weekends, skipping breaks, constantly on the gas, only to find that your progress is stalling out. The very strategy that got you here, that relentless pressure, is suddenly giving you diminishing returns.
And here is the fundamental miscalculation. We've all been taught, that pressure is the engine of progress. But there is a huge difference between external market pressure and internal self-criticism. That internal voice, that critic, it doesn't create forward motion. It creates contraction. It literally shrinks your ability to think clearly, to actually hear feedback, and to take the risks you need to take.
This quote right here, it just flips the whole script. All of a sudden, the market feedback isn't the problem. The pivot isn't the problem. Your team isn't the problem. The second you stop treating yourself as the core issue to be solved is the moment you free up all your resources to solve for what's actually going on.
So this invisible force, it needs a name, right? Something we can actually track. Let's frame it in the only terms that really matter in business, the contraction tax. This is a real, hidden cost that is showing up on your P&L. It shows up as missed opportunities, slow pivots, and team burnout. And it all starts with you.
So what is it? The contraction tax is basically the performance tariff you pay every single time you use self-criticism as a motivational tool. It directly degrades your ability to hear what the market is trying to tell you and to make those clean, decisive pivots that are just essential for survival. It's a tax on your agility.
Think about it like this. You're running one of two internal operating systems. On the left, you've got the self-attacking OS. Market feedback comes in, right? But the internal processor runs on criticism and pressure. Its core flaw is that it generates shame and fear, and the output is always contraction and resistance. Now on the right, you have the self-compassionate OS. Same input, market feedback. But the process, it's understanding and patience. Its core feature is internal safety, and the output, well, it's clarity and growth. So which OS is your empire being built on?
So how do you even know if you're running on that faulty OS? Well, we can run a really simple but incredibly powerful system diagnostic. And this isn't some fluffy emotional anecdote. Think of this as a hard data point from a case study that revealed a critical system failure.
This is it. This is the entire diagnostic query. Just one question. Imagine you've just berated yourself for some setback, and a friend looks at you and asks, "Would you speak to anyone else this way?" Not your co-founder, not a key employee, not even an investor who let you down. Would you? The simplicity is what makes it so jarring.
The moment that question is introduced, your internal processor is forced to run a comparison it almost never runs. It starts pulling up the files on the protocols you use for other people.
And bam! Instantly, a glaring error message pops up. Data mismatch. The protocol for how you treat a valued team member who messed up, with patience, support, constructive feedback is radically different from your internal protocol for yourself, which is probably just aggressive and critical.
And the result from this diagnostic is unequivocal, a core logic failure. The system is running on completely contradictory commands. In an operating system with a fundamental logic failure like that, well, you can't optimize it. You can't just patch it. It has to be replaced.
So this leads us to the system upgrade. We call it the softening pivot protocol. And let's be absolutely clear, this is not a nice-to-have mindset shift. This is a non-negotiable architectural requirement if you want to create and sustain long-term momentum.
So here's how it works. Step 1, acknowledge reality without the shame. The launch numbers are low. That's it. It's just data. It's not a judgment on your worth. Step 2, offer understanding. Talk to yourself with patience, not criticism. Frame it like, okay, this is tough data. What can we learn here? Step 3, this creates internal safety. That's the bedrock of self-trust that you need to take the next risk. And finally, step 4, now you can actually respond strategically instead of just reacting from a place of fear and pressure.
All right, let's zoom all the way out. Why does this internal protocol matter so much to the external empire you're trying to build? It's simple. Your internal world isn't separate from your company. It is its foundation.
I want you to think about this from a purely engineering perspective. A foundation that's built with brittle, cracked, self-attacking materials, it's compromised from day one. Sure, it might hold up for a little while, under perfect conditions.
But it absolutely cannot support a resilient empire. When the real pressure comes, and you know it will, that foundation will fracture. Your ability to lead, to pivot, to inspire your team, it all rests on the structural integrity of your internal state. A self-attacking foundation pretty much guarantees an eventual collapse.
And so this is the final question we'll leave you with. And this isn't about being kinder to yourself just to feel good. This is a question of strategic readiness. Is your internal infrastructure, your mental and emotional OS, is it secure, is it robust, and is it scalable enough to handle the immense pressures of leadership?
Look, if you recognize that core logic failure in your own system, then the most critical, highest leverage thing you can do right now is to secure that internal infrastructure. This is the advanced identity work that's required to build something that actually lasts. You can explore a framework for doing exactly that at 365 Freedom,